It is a very good morning to we the people, isn't it? Donald J. Trump overnight goes scorched earth. And don't just read the headlines. Trump pauses all U.S. military aid to Ukraine after clash with Zelensky. And I guarantee you Zelensky did not wake up in a very good mood today, because the bluff about EU supporting him, well, that ain't never come to fruition. But wait, I've seen the headlines. President Trump embarrassed himself, the nation, and every thinking human on earth, from Esquire. Or from the Boston Globe, Trump's behavior makes me embarrassed to be an American. Or NBC News, shameful, treasonous. Wow, treasonous, disgraceful. Trump slammed from all sides for news conference with Putin. From all sides, really? Don't believe that for a minute. Trump berates Zelensky in fiery exchange at the White House because he lost his temper. But I guess Trump's the only one to ever lose his temper, according to the mainstream mockingbird media now, isn't it? Except if they just remember this.
During the course of the call, President Zelensky continued, according to a number of officials who we spoke with who were familiar with the call, President Zelensky continued to talk about the additional equipment and weapons and support that he and his military needed. According to these officials, they said that President Biden finally just got frustrated and lost his temper and told President Zelensky, look, you could be a little bit more grateful.
Wow, that sounds familiar, huh? I guess we're supposed to forget about that. Just forget about that. Nah, that's only Trump. He's the enemy. Well, if you listen to Jasmine Crockett, he's the literal enemy.
So, unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House, and as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States.
You thought I was joking, huh? Oh, no. There must be a reason for all this rhetoric. Someone must be really afraid of what's happening here. Someone must be pulling on the strings of global geopolitics now, huh? Why are they so desperate? Yesterday's video, a huge success. Thank you for that. I'm going to take this definition a whole nother step forward now. Why the EU is critical to all of this, and what is breaking, and why Trump went scorched earth. You think it just has to do with Ukraine? You see, there's a vicious circle happening right now. And it ebbs and it flows, and Trump is about to push it over the cliff once and for all, and it could effectively end once and for all the EU. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that in just 1 minute. Huge favor before I kick into this broadcast. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, and so many of you did yesterday, thank you so very much. And your support is truly appreciated. Some of you did it via supers. Some of you joined as members. Thank you for that. It truly keeps these lights and cameras on. But now I have a very special sponsor. I want you to go to JustusKnightGold.com right now. JustusKnightGold.com. Did you know gold has surged 46% in less than a year, doubling the gain of the NASDAQ and S&P 500? But this isn't just another rally. Global reserves are shifting, exposing cracks in the monetary system. Investors are losing confidence in paper gold and demanding physical metal, creating a massive gap between gold owed and gold available. But this isn't about how institutions broke another system. It's about how you can profit from it. Right now, Noble Gold Investments has a limited supply of investment-grade gold bars and coins available. As banks scramble to fulfill their obligations, pushing gold prices higher, you can profit. Smart investors are protecting their retirement portfolio by moving it into physical gold. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy for you to do the same. You see, with their simple 3-step process. Right now, when you make a qualified investment, Noble Gold will add a free 10th ounce gold coin. You see it there on your screen. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, again, the sponsor of this video, and turn their panic into your profit. And remember, there is always a risk of investment, and there's no guarantee of any kind. I am blessed to have Noble Gold Investments sponsoring this video, so please go to JustusKnightGold.com or call 877-646-5347 and just simply tell them Justus Knight sent you. Oh, we have a lot of updates to report to you. Pam Bondi now escalating the war with AOC. That battle between AOC and Tom Homan continues forward, and now Pam Bondi allegedly eyeing filing federal charges against AOC for helping migrants evade ICE. Oh, the steps are coming, aren't they? It's only just begun. And Pam Bondi has this announcement for us on the Epstein files.
But, you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept, Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m.
She goes on, thousands of pages of documents. I've given them to the FBI. Kash Patel is in possession of them. He's going through them. He's going to give her a detailed report and also why the evidence had been withheld. They're going to go through it allegedly as fast as they can. I'll believe it when I see it. But I do know there has been repercussions already. Top FBI official forced out after questioning Trump pursuit of agents who investigated January 6th. James Dennehy now asked to leave the FBI. Late Friday, I was just informed that I need to put my retirement papers in today, which I just did. I was not given any reason for the decision. Seriously, you really didn't know the reason. Today, we find ourselves in the middle of a battle of our own, as good people are being walked out of the FBI, he once wrote, and others are being targeted because they did their jobs in accordance with the law and the FBI policy. Time for me to dig in. Some could have interpreted that as your battle against the Trump administration, and now you've been asked to submit your retirement. Many stories will now start to surface as we get deeper into the weeds of the exact depth of the swamp that Trump and Patel and Bondi are trying to wade through, and it is a deep one. Before we get to this main story that is brewed up now. Also in the news is that it is being alleged that the justice has now signaled a settlement in the $30 billion Ashley Babbitt wrongful death suit the White House wants to take care of that family. I still want further investigation. I'm not going to settle until there is one. You remember me bringing this clip of Susan Rice, chastising Trump after his meeting with Zelensky, and it met with a response from Molly Hemingway to start. I guess one part really pissed off Susan Rice. As you can see from the hostility of the bureaucracy to any Republican oversight, no matter how reasonable or minor it may be, the entrenched bureaucracy and permanent D.C. apparatus is quite active. In some ways claiming that Susan Rice being so upset about how Trump handled Zelensky, well, maybe she wanted a different result, and Susan Rice responded, "You clowns are up to the same old tired crap." As if the Democrats and the establishment haven't been. When you guys screw up and Royal embarrass himself in the U.S., you try to change the subject and lie about a favorite target to distract and deflect. For the record, because that means that it's now a qualified opinion that we don't listen to, I have never met Zelensky, never spoken to him ever, or advised him or anyone around him. It's a shame that you contend that it is the U.S. national interest to sell out Ukraine and suck up to Putin. Really, Susan? Well, that fits into my entire story today in so many ways, and it will all become crystal clear in a moment for you. Richard Grinnell took exception with that comment from Susan Rice. You guys could even talk to Putin for 3.5 years. Your policies helped usher in war in Ukraine, Gaza, and Rwanda, if you remember. And then you lied about Libya. It wasn't caused by a video. You made that up. Donald Trump handed you peace in the Middle East, and Europe, you handed us 2 wars. We see you now. Oh, they're all being exposed, aren't they? I wonder when if the Democrat looks in the mirror, they see the symbol of the European Union, or NATO. How closely aligned all their policies are now, aren't they? But there's many lies being exposed. Remember, the Biden administration needed a bill to get this all done, but Trump just gets it done. 2022, 166,000 border encounters. 2023, 156,000. 2024, 189,000. 2025, 8,326. That's called results. And that's what we, the people, demand, and why we continue to support President Donald J. Trump. Promise made, promise kept. Here's what to know about Trump's tariffs. You see, Canada and Mexico thought that Trump made a promise that he wouldn't keep until last night. And then Trump says, guess what? Back in place. Now, the form of these we don't know quite yet. We just know the response of Trudeau and his political party, of which deserves about as much airtime as that. We'll find out, and we'll report more as details become available to us. But Democrats are scrambling. Oh, they're so in fear right now. So the Democrats meet together in an emergency meeting, and the EU meets together in an emergency meeting. Coinkydink? I wonder. Democrats' comeback retreat suggests party to embrace patriotism to win back working class voters. As a matter of fact, they said they got to focus less on identity politics. They have a faculty lounge problem. People think that they are viewed as the elite and that they won't talk to any of us or represent any of us. They fail to prioritize economic concerns. Their message and communications weak and fragmented. Fear of dissent within the party, in other words, kowtowing to the likes of AOC and the Justice Democrats. The attachment to unpopular institutions such as, colleges, government bureaucracy, and media. So basically, the crux of this meeting is, don't be Democrats. And that's how we'll seize power back. Democrats, don't be Democrats. Seriously, that's what their meeting came up with. So what comes as a result of the meeting, or at least on the heels of the meeting? That's right. Tim Walz is saying he's ready to run for president. And the reaction was so consistent, it was my reaction too. Oh, please do. Oh, Tim, please. Please run for president. Libs of TikTok came out. Yes, please. Isn't that a wonderful headline? And keep it a little bit more lighthearted before we go into this. And this is really the crux of all the information. We went into a definition yesterday. We're going to go into a further definition now. President Trump coming out. This is the worst statement that could have been made by Zelenskyy, who said the end of the war is very, very far away. Really, Zelenskyy, bud, do you not learn your lesson? Or is just somebody pulling on your strings to make sure you keep things going? Because they expect a result that isn't going to happen without a catastrophic event, which we have to be concerned about. And America will not put up with it much longer, Trump states. It is what I was saying. This guy doesn't want there to be peace as long as he has America's backing. And Europe, in the meeting with Zelenskyy, stated flatly that they cannot do the job without the U.S., which they did. Steel porcupine. We're going to get there in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for a moment. Before I go any further, what do you believe the number one reason the EU is pushing so staunchly towards war is? I'm going to check your comments. You're going to check your comments. Don't delete them. Don't worry. I don't expect everyone to know everything that I have to research for a limitless amount of hours a day. But what is the number one reason they're pushing for war? Okay, you had your minute. Now I'll give you the reason. Probably not a great statement to have been made in terms of show of strength against Russia. What are they thinking and why? Oh, wait, Trump just said Russia again. Russia, Russia, Russia. Talk about a tired line. So let's dig in a little deeper here. Because if Eric Swalwell, sorry, I have trouble even stating that sometimes every time I say his name. Let's listen to what he has to say about this.
If you look around the world, our biggest economic enemy is China. Our biggest geopolitical enemy is Russia. In a matter of 3 years, without losing a single U.S. soldier, we have decimated their military and their economy. It's been the greatest return on investment for any military expenditure ever. And as far as the return on investment for soldiers' lives, it's infinity because you can't divide zero.
You heard that, right? We haven't lost a life. Don't be the ghoulish lunatic who says it out loud, suggesting the soldiers dying, Ukrainian soldiers, are just meaningless fodder for America's geopolitical investment. He actually said that out loud. On the same breath, claiming that China is our number one economic enemy. So much for your girlfriend, huh, Eric? I guess that doesn't make a difference. And Russia, U.S.'s biggest geopolitical enemy. Okay, let's take that statement at face value here. James Howard Kunstler, amazing article here. Attitude adjustment. I want to read parts of this to you. Very, very important. A secularized, atheist-leaning Europe that has forgotten its roots has demonstrated that it will not protect the personal freedoms of its citizenry. Sound familiar? See if you can get this straight. Keir Starmer says, do you remember I covered for you yesterday, boots on the ground and planes in the air, but we want peace. And that he was going to lead a coalition of the willing, NATO, against Russia. Sounds a little like the British Prime Minister is holding seances at number 10 Downing Street to channel the spirits of bygone European leaders who launched doomed bear hunts into the vast and mysterious Eurasian East. Who comes to mind? Oh, we're going to win this election, right? Hands down, we'll defeat Donald J. Trump. That didn't work out so well. No, you waged a battle you couldn't win because we the people spoke. After 80-odd years of serving as the world's tourism theme park, love that, languishing in their cafes, maybe they forgot what war is like. The New York Times reports Ursula von der Leyen, I played her clip for you the other day, the one who said that they're going to make Ukraine into a steel porcupine that is indigestible for potential invaders. This requires that you fall for the fake idea, as I told you yesterday, it was a fake idea, that Russia seeks to invade all of Western Europe, and Trump would simply just allow for that to happen. Come on, folks. We're going to take it further, I promised you. Notice how much the EU acts like America's Democratic Party, protecting its own hostile fantasies on its adversaries. Russia, Russia, Russia. They all sing from the same songbook. And like our Democratic Party, Europe is sinking into oblivion with all their agendas, their versions of DEI, and all the other policies that the Democrats and the EU hold so near and dear. They're destroying their people. The animating ethos of the ruling party in Germany and France is to punish their own citizens with censorship, tyranny, and sponsoring an alien invasion that aims to demolish European culture. Sound familiar? Now you see why the Democrats are going so crazy, don't you? Why they support Ukraine, 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 and believe so strongly in the EU. Their economic wizards are taking the continent medieval to a global backwater of defeating peasants eating bugs. I would boldly predict that the likes of Starmer, von der Leyen, and Friedrich Merz will be swept out of power by angry mobs before next Christmas because the people will only stand so long, being hungry, being censored. In the meantime, Europe has made itself preposterous. Europe does not have the mojo to do a darn thing about Ukraine or Russia. Herein is why Trump is pushing Ukraine so hard and literally pushing them out of the way, pulling support. He's calling the EU's bluff. The British Army has 74,296 active duty troops, comparable to the size of Algeria's army. The U.S. military. The UK's North Sea oil production has declined by approximately 73%. They're working on the climate, right? They are not energy independent, like Trump is putting into place. Germany produces around 23,000 barrels a day, enough to meet 2% of the domestic oil demand. Who do they buy their oil from? Russia. So if Russia stops shipping them oil and they don't have enough to produce and they decide to back Ukraine, boy, that puts all the people there in Germany in a really terrible situation. Chancellor Olaf Scholz declared there will be no ground troops, no soldiers on Ukrainian soil sent there by European countries or NATO states. So who is kidding whom exactly? At least one of the country knows where their current bread is buttered. As Europe now flounders impotently and wrecks itself, America and Russia are motivated to avoid being snookered into an unnecessary world war. And there's the key. And you see the moves by Russia and Trump, which I'm about to cover, to assure that does not happen. Mr. Zelensky is because what happens? We go to war. Our soldiers perish. Russian soldiers perish. And for what? For which cause? Mr. Zelensky is but an anachronistic artifact of the color revolutions that finally sputtered out with Joe Biden. While much is already known about how that worked, a whole lot more is waiting to be revealed, including the degree of actual, you got it. And they're going to start digging. Because as we pull away, the investigations will begin. The money trail will be researched. People around Joe Biden will be going to jail over this, or worse, Howard Kunstler states. It's a big statement. We will wait and see. Innocent until proven guilty, but that doesn't mean the investigations won't begin. I'd also venture to predict, he states, that Zelensky will before much longer get removed from his position by his own generals. He isn't the only one to state this, by the way. He isn't the only one to see this divide. He isn't the only one to understand what's happening in the EU. Ukraine will return to its long-standing status as a borderland that poses no danger to the rest of the world. America and Russia will be poised to defend what remains of Western civilization from ambitious China. Oh, wait, now Russia and China are aligned. Come on. No. Keep your enemy closer. Russia fully well knows which enemies they have to worry about. It is the United States and China. And God help Europe if insane national leaders revert to fighting amongst each other as they did for 2,000 years before 1945, making a slaughterhouse of the entire region again. Mr. Trump is correct to avoid getting dragged into that. We have enough on our own agenda for repairing the damage done to ourselves over the past 30 years. The good news is that we're beginning to get that done. But now, again, let's take it one step further. Martin Armstrong has something to say about this and the failing EU.
All right. The debt is just unbelievable. They never consolidated. Between COVID, the climate change, and the sanctions on Russia, the German economy has shrunk at least by 3%, maybe up to 5% even. And its economic growth is just, it's appalling.
And this appeared on the Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog site. This is an incredible analysis. I don't always agree with Martin Armstrong, but at times when it comes to geopolitical, economic strife, he could be spot on.
Wait.
Right? Europe is falling, and this is why they need war. So they're backing Zelensky. All right? And if you look at, in this report, I gathered a bunch of the headlines. London Financial Times, etc. What's the headline? America is now the enemy.
Because without war, they can't rebuild their economies. War is money. And so why is the EU backing Zelensky? Why does Donald J. Trump state Europe has spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine by far? Why did Trump just pause all aid to Ukraine? Because he's calling the bluff. The mainstream media will continue to put out headlines like Moscow reacts with glee to Trump berating Zelensky and pushes on with restoring U.S. ties. Or Europe ready to step up as Kremlin welcomes Donald Trump's decision to pause aid for Ukraine, making them appear as if they're bestest of buddies. Keep your enemy closer. But the EU isn't subscribing to that, are they? No, they're declaring that we are now the enemy of the West. In other words, how dare you? You're stopping this war. And if you stop this war, then our people will understand our economies are crushed and we have no military to speak of, and we're not energy independent, and we've lived off agenda and talking points, and everything will collapse. And if Donald J. Trump didn't get into office, the same would have happened to us. So don't be fooled by the headlines. Reuters, White House seeks plan to possible for possible Russia sanctions relief. Trump is tying the bond tighter. 3.5 years we didn't talk to Russia. 3.5 years. Hegseth orders Cyber Command to stand down on Russian planning. And now we're starting to hear rumblings. The final straw that will break the camel's back. Get us out of NATO. Our funding eclipses all. Our money is funneling out of our great republic, and it needs to remain here because we have a lot of repairing to do. NATO is a Cold War relic that needs to be relegated to a talking kiosk at the Smithsonian because Macron and Zelensky so close. I love that one. Well, Macron's plan itself failed. You see, the EU is completely fragmented. It is like watching the run-up and the run after the election, isn't it? As the Democrats fragmented. There is no united common message. There is no steel porcupine being created. It is sound bites and talking points. They have no cards to play. They rely on the very Russia they declare to be the enemy. And without America, who they also declare now to be the enemy, they have nothing. Not even their culture, because they destroyed that too. Starmer and Macron not on the same page. UK distanced itself from France's Ukraine ceasefire plan because all they want is war. We are the Democratic Party who wanted to become Europe. If American liberals want the continent's solutions, they ought to also recognize its problems. And there is many, because there's limits to that convergence. Because the failure is the actual system itself. And why Russia and Trump in many ways do state some of the same thing. Russia praises Trump and scolds Europe for being the crucible of war. You see, that doesn't mean that you support Russia. That simply means, philosophically, you understand that these two superpowers, the ones who hold the money, aren't going to allow it to continue to trickle into war that results in no benefit to either party. It only results in loss of lives, and that is why the EU, an amazing dissertation by Kunzler, an amazing clip by Armstrong, explains the economic reasons behind it. All the world's a stage, isn't it? I am going to arm you with so much knowledge to absolutely decimate anyone with the talking point I still haven't gotten over. I stand with Ukraine. Get some knowledge and repeat that statement to me again. And then, if you still believe in it, man, this great Republic of the United States of America may not be the perfect place for you because you don't stand for the most important thing of all. America. America first. Make America great again is what must continue to resound as this resurgent in true American values continues to roll forward. I love you all. Can't thank you enough for being here again today. I actually love doing this. I love the comments that you give me below. They mean the world to me. Continue those flooding in because it tells me we're on the right message and you make that possible. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.